Protective father speaks. Corey Gauff defends Coco. Anisimova and Pegula fearful face fire. Coco Gauff's father, Corey Gauff, has delivered a strong and unfiltered response after his daughter, Amanda Anisimova, and Jessica Pegula came under heavy criticism following the Australian Open controversy. As online backlash intensified, Corey stepped in to defend the players, calling out what he viewed as unfair attacks and misplaced outrage. His words quickly gained attention across the tennis world, shifting the focus from criticism to accountability and respect. The moment highlighted the growing tension around player treatment and media narratives, while underscoring the importance of standing up for athletes facing intense pressure both on and off the court. After losing 6-1, 6-2 against Alina Svitolina in the quarterfinal, Coco Gauff quietly walked out of Rod Laver Arena. She found her way into the tunnel, where she smashed her racket and vented her frustration. The video was shared online by the broadcasters. Since then, Gauff had blasted the broadcasters for airing the footage, saying that such off-court moments shouldn't be televised. "I feel like at this tournament the only private place we have is the locker room," Gauff said. "I try to go somewhere where I thought there wasn't a camera because I don't necessarily like breaking rackets." A lot of fellow tennis athletes have also joined her while raising privacy concerns at the ongoing Australian Open. This includes Jessica Pegula, Novak Djokovic, and Amanda Anisimova. "I'm not a fan of the cameras. Same thing when Arina lost the final. I was like, can you just let the girls have like a moment to ourselves?" Pegula said. An Instagram post involving comments from various tennis stars regarding the privacy issue was shared online. Under the comments section, a user tried taking a dig at women's tennis stars by saying that if they wish to remove the cameras, they should be willing to let go 80% of their prize money. In response, Coco Gauff's father, Corey, blasted the user, writing, "When you have more posts than followers means what?" Australian Open taking steps to eliminate privacy concerns after Coco Gauff outburst. The organizers of the Australian Open have got into action after multiple players raised privacy concerns. Tennis Australia acknowledged the concerns and is discussing adjustments to better balance player privacy and fan engagement. "We want to listen to players. We want to really understand what their needs and what their wants are," he said. "So that's the first question we'll ask. We've heard you, and whatever adjustments we need to make, we will make." Tennis Australia CEO and Australian Open Tournament Director Craig Tiley said via Reuters, "We'll continue to review it and make sure that the players are comfortable with it. But at the same time, we also want to bring the fan and the player closer. We believe, as tennis players, we can really lift up their value and the love the fans have for them. But it's a fine line that we have to keep walking." Even the WTA has backed the idea of having private zones where players can be themselves without the fear of privacy invasion. Coco Gauff, Amanda Anisimova, and Jessica Pegula did not ask to become symbols in a wider debate, yet they found themselves at the center of a storm simply for reacting like human beings under extraordinary pressure. Instead of understanding, they faced judgment. Instead of empathy, they faced attacks. Corey Gauff made it clear, enough was enough. His words resonated because they reflected what so many parents, fans, and former athletes were already thinking but struggling to articulate. Why is emotional expression celebrated in some athletes and condemned in others? Why are young women expected to be composed at all times, even when cameras invade their most vulnerable moments? And why does criticism so often cross the line into personal attacks? What Corey Gauff did was more than defend his daughter. He defended a generation of players who are growing up in an era where every reaction is recorded, dissected, and weaponized, where a single moment can define an entire narrative, where social media amplifies outrage faster than truth. His response reminded the tennis world that these players are not characters in a script. They are people. Amanda Anisimova and Jessica Pegula, both accomplished professionals in their own right, were also caught in the backlash. Their experiences highlight a troubling trend. When athletes stand together or share similar concerns, criticism multiplies instead of diminishing. Corey's defense extended beyond family. It became a stand for fairness, respect, and decency. This controversy has forced an uncomfortable but necessary conversation. One about privacy in modern sports. One about media responsibility. One about the psychological toll of constant exposure. Players are expected to perform at the highest level, manage expectations, handle defeat gracefully, and remain silent when boundaries are crossed. Corey Gauff challenged that expectation head-on, and perhaps that is why his words struck such a nerve, because they were not polished, they were not scripted, they were real. In recent years, the tennis world has made progress in acknowledging mental health, pressure, and burnout, but moments like this remind us how far there is still to go. Support often arrives only after damage has already been done. Corey Gauff's response was preventative. It was a warning that continued disregard for athlete well-being will have consequences. Coco Gauff herself has shown remarkable maturity throughout the ordeal. At just 21, she has balanced honesty with professionalism, emotion with restraint. Yet no athlete, no matter how composed, should have to navigate these storms alone. Corey's presence was a reminder that behind every player is a family, a support system, and people who feel every attack just as deeply. This is not about shielding athletes from criticism. Criticism is part of sport. But there is a difference between analysis and abuse, between accountability and harassment. Corey Gauff drew that line clearly, and many in the tennis community quietly and loudly stood behind him. As fans, we also have a role to play. What we choose to amplify, what we choose to ignore, and how we engage with these moments matters. Athletes see the comments. Families feel the impact. Words carry weight long after matches are over. The Australian Open controversy will eventually fade from headlines. Another tournament will arrive. Another story will take its place. But what should remain is a lesson. That empathy is not weakness. That passion is not a flaw. And that defending what is right, even when it's uncomfortable, is necessary. Corey Gauff did not speak to create drama. He spoke to draw a boundary. And in doing so, he gave voice to countless players and families who have felt powerless in similar situations. In the end, this moment may be remembered not for the controversy itself, but for the stand that followed. A reminder that behind every rising star is a parent willing to protect, defend, and speak when silence is no longer an option. Because sometimes the most powerful voice in sports doesn't come from the court, but from the sidelines, refusing to let unfairness go unanswered. And that message, loud and clear, is something the tennis world cannot afford to ignore. Tennis Fire, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.